Folks, the folks in Houston are continuing trying to recover from the devastating floods there after Hurricane Harvey. They're being led there, of course, by the mayor of Houston. This, of course, is a scene from one of those shelters where voices are trying to lift folks up. Victoria White and Marquise Taylor again singing there at the Expo Center, the Lone Star Expo Center in League City. On the phone lines right now, we're joined by Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner. Mayor Turner, what is the status of Houston right now this morning? The sun came out yesterday. Has the rain subsided?
Pretty much, Roland, the rain has subsided. And in fact, the sun came out on Tuesday evening, somewhere around 6, and then, but Wednesday was a fairly dry day. We're still in a rescue recovery phase. For many of the areas, water has started to subside. In that Kingwood area, the waters are still high, in part because they release water. They were releasing water from the Conroe area down into the Kingwood area. That has created some problems on that area, so still in kind of a rescue mission over there. And then in the western part of Houston, we have the reservoir, and because there's so much water on the west side of the dam, the Corps of Engineers is doing a gradual water release from that dam. And so there are areas, neighborhoods in West Houston that did not flood from the rainfall, but because of the release, they are now flooding, so some rescue efforts over there. And so by and large, still in the rescue, but turning now to the recovery mode, and we're still going. We got a number of people in shelters, but now the fire department and members of the police department are going door to door and pretty much in many of the neighborhoods where the water has subsided, to make sure that we haven't missed anyone who did not notify us and needed to come out. And we want to make sure that we don't have seniors or people who are disabled who are still stranded in their homes.
Mayor, I was talking to my, actually my family's on a group chat. My sister and brother both yesterday for the first time since really Friday were able to get out and actually drive around. People obviously are starting to move around. Right. What also in terms of, what also grocery stores, restaurants, people obviously still looking for food. So if they're out, are we seeing trucks coming in being able to replenish those barren store shelves?
And trucks are found being able to come in. More of the roads are now passable. So you have more grocery stores that are starting to open. Restaurants are starting to open. Up until Tuesday evening, that was not the case. So we are seeing much more activity yesterday. We should see much more activity today. Even, for example, the heavy trash pickup from the city, that started yesterday. The regular trash pickup, that will start today. Metro is resuming its regular service today. So there are a number of things that are starting to happen. We can do more than one thing at one time. We can still continue the rescue recovery effort where it needs to take place, and at the same time, we're turning the corner and turning to the recovery phase and moving forward.
Obviously, Mayor, folks have been still talking about this idea of evacuation, the elderly and others as well. And when you were going through that decision, people obviously were suggesting that. What was the main reason why you said it didn't make sense to call for a mandatory evacuation or even a partial evacuation of parts of the city?
Well, let me just say, as the storm was approaching, we didn't hear any voices calling for evacuation. The county judge, I think you know him, Roland, Ed Emmett, is the county judge for Harris County. He's been the county judge for a number of years. He and I, leading up to the storm, any storm that's coming through, we track all of these storms. And this storm, this hurricane, did not hit Houston, Harris County. it hit the Texas coast down by Corpus Christi and Rockport. But the hurricane did not hit Houston or Harris County. What we are dealing with is the aftermath of an unprecedented amount of rainfall. And so 2 days out, this was a tropical depression that turned to a tropical storm. And then a couple of days went from a Hurricane 1 to a Hurricane 4 in a couple of days. And it landed in the lower Texas coast by Corpus Christi and Rockport. There are 2.3 million people in Houston, Texas, an additional 4 million people in Harris County. You simply cannot evacuate 6.5 million people in 2 days without an evacuation plan. You simply cannot. You will put people more in harm's way. And what happened in 2005 from Hurricane Rita, that was a more direct hit. When the evacuation took place then, more than 120 people lost their lives on the road while they were trying to evacuate. The streets, the interstates were jammed. People were running out of gas because they could not move on the freeway. It took 8 to 10 hours just to get to Austin, Texas, which is normally a 2.5 to 3 hour drive. And so if we had asked 6.5 million people to move, and even if you have said we're going to move them in sections in 2 days without any pre-preparation, it would have been horrendous, chaotic, and confusing. And then on top of that, this storm did not just last 1 day. It lasted four days. And so if people had evacuated, people would then have wanted to come back to their homes, and the roads continued to be impassable even up to yesterday and to some degree this morning. So that's absurd. That's absurd. What we did ask people to do was to prepare. Make sure you have your medicine, water, food, all of the necessary things that you need leading up to the storm. And Houstonians and people in Harris County abided by that. So it wasn't just a decision made by the mayor of City of Houston. It was a joint decision based on everything that we had before us, made by the county judge, who happens to be a Republican, the county judge, and myself. And there is no question in my mind that if we had to do it all over again, based on everything that we currently know, the same decision would have been made. It is absurd to try to move 6.5 million people in 2 days before a hurricane is going to hit in the Corpus Christi, Rockport area, and not the city of Houston. This was a major rainfall, just like on yesterday in Beaumont, Port Arthur. Yeah. It's a rainfall, but they received 26 inches of rain in 24 days. 24 hours. That's a rainfall.
All right. Mayor Sylvester Turner, I certainly appreciate it, sir. Thank you so very much.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh, my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no.
That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.